Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know, I'm your humble host, the Yao Mean of Revolution. That's a moon mission. Something fishy and demonic went on. Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Let's get right into the content. Now, I have seen this.
On April
I
Fool's
know we
Day,
need to get it.
NASA officially launched their Artemis
But
2
we didn't get
rocket.
to really dig into this. We've been so busy with all kind of different stories, but now we got to dig into it. Why did these people pretend they went back to the moon? Well, we know that's a lie. What type of demonic nonsense is these people up to? Now we got time to dig into this.
On April Fool's Day, NASA officially launched their Artemis 2 rocket, claiming to take humans back to the moon in 2026. Going back to the moon, however, would require us having actually gone there before, which myself and many other researchers have debunked beyond any shadow of a doubt in several previous videos, showing that the original NASA moon landings were faked in a studio on Earth. So now, over 50 years later, with half a century of technological developments, Artemis 2 isn't even claiming to land on the moon like Apollo, but merely flying by. So what proof are we being given that NASA is really sending people in orbit around the moon? As usual, we are shown a rocket launch from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, which performs the same parabolic arc that every rocket, missile, and other projectile shot into the sky does. Rather than shooting straight upwards towards the moon, which would be far more logical and look much more convincing, every rocket launch arcs from vertical to horizontal, and most you can even see beginning to arc back down to Earth before leaving view. NASA's excuse for this is that they are purposely doing this parabolic arc with all their rockets because of a super high-tech gamer gravity hack where the rockets are being caught in a gravity well that works like a slingshot to help propel them better to the moon. Yes, you heard right. The reason all these NASA rockets form a parabolic arc and look like they're about to drop into the ocean a few miles away is because going down is the best way to go up. So all the NASA nerds will look down their bifocals at you, smugly explaining what their overlords told them about gravity and slingshots, while they watch rocket after rocket launched eastwards from Fort Lauderdale, making parabolic arcs directly towards the Bermuda Triangle. Watch closely as the rocket goes from vertical to horizontal and out over the ocean, away from all observers' views. In one instant, it just disappears from view completely. Where has it gone? It goes from being clearly visible to there just being nothing discernible whatsoever, like it just vanished into thin air. Strangely enough, that's the second time a flying object just vanished into thin air that day. Watch this footage from just before the Artemis 2 was preparing to launch, and pay close attention to the airplane that flies into view from the right-hand side of the screen. Where did it go? The plane just completely vanishes from view, as if it disappeared behind a giant green screen. Watch it again in slow motion. Another oddity is the following footage showing these cable cars lowering from the rockets during launch. These are known as the emergency escape cable cars, allegedly used to get the astronauts out in the case of an emergency. They sure look like they're being used here at this last moment. How do we know that they're empty? The astronauts could easily have just hopped into those cable cars to be taken to the next studio where they sit in harnesses pretending to be in outer space. Did you know that NASA is the world's largest purchaser of helium? Helium is a stable and very light element used for sending balloons up into high altitude. NASA admittedly uses large amounts of helium to send up its satelloons. But what about these rockets? Look at this image of the Artemis 2 live on Fox News. What does that look like to you? Honestly looking, without bias, Doesn't that look like a giant inflatable blow-up toy? Look at the seams and creases. Once the rocket is out of the public's view, after a couple minutes of genuine launch footage, true to form, NASA always switches to CGI. We can never get full, live, unedited video focused straight ahead of the rocket, or with a view focused on Earth. All we ever get is launch footage, cut to CGI like this for an hour, then whenever they're ready to restart the so-called live feed, here's what we get. Always a view with huge portions of the screen taken up by large random pieces of the craft. Then long blue screen outages lasting for minutes or sometimes hours,
They're good
only to
dynamite.
come back with another similar video of another large section of the craft in the foreground. Look at the supposed Earth in these videos. Why is it shaped like that? In every other image and video NASA releases of the Earth, it is perfectly circular. Why is it squished here? How can the Earth suddenly change shape this drastically? They always claim Earth is an oblate spheroid, but this is one of the only times I have ever seen NASA showing Earth actually looking that way. Also, where are all the satellites and stars? There should be tens of thousands of satellites floating around up there, but we never see any of them whizzing by. Another thing I guarantee we won't see is independent video from people filming with super zoom cameras capturing Artemis 2 during its slingshot around the Earth, nor during its trip around the moon. P900 and P1000 cameras are able to zoom into the moon with incredible detail, but I guarantee if we all train our telescopes and cameras to the moon when Artemis 2 is supposedly passing by, not a single person will capture video of the rocket passing by the moon. NASA has already started releasing new Earth images supposedly taken from Artemis 2, and they are just as dubious as ever. Again, they are showing us Earth as a crisp, perfect circle/sphere in these images, yet just moments earlier in their live stream, they were showing video of a clearly smushed Earth, looking nothing like the pictures released shortly after. So let's take a closer look at these images. Where are all the continents? We are seeing half of the globe in this image, and there is nothing but ocean and part of Africa. We are supposed to believe that all of North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica are just hiding on the other 50% of the globe? This is just like the famous Apollo 17 image claimed to be one of the only real photographs taken by NASA. If you're going to have Africa take up 50% of your globe, the math just doesn't work for the rest. And what about the lighting? NASA says Earth is fully eclipsing the sun in this picture, putting all of the light of the sun on the other side of the globe. So how is the entire dark side of the Earth shown fully and brightly lit? Or how about this one, allegedly showing the moon from Artemis 2? Why is the moon much smaller here in outer space than it is on Earth? I have never seen the moon that small, and yet NASA claims this picture was taken by the Artemis crew halfway from Earth to the moon. The reality is, these are not real photographs. In fact, you can take these new images just released from NASA and run them through an advanced AI filter to check for authenticity and see for yourself. These images do not even pass AI scans for authenticity and are all coming back as confirmed CGI images. People honestly should be able to discern for themselves that these Earth images are clearly CGI. But if you don't trust your own discernment, even AI is telling you that these are not real. From ChatGPT, quote, "This is very likely AI generated or heavily composited. The window frame is unusually thick and irregular, with soft, almost melted looking edges. Real spacecraft windows would be more engineered and consistent. The satellite outside is oddly placed and slightly stylized. Scale and lighting don't quite match orbital photography. The lighting on Earth in the interior frame feels cinematic rather than physically consistent, especially the glow and reflections. The composition is too clean and centered for typical handheld astronaut photography. Also, look at the bright hot spot of sunlight shining at one specific point of Earth. If the sun's light is transferring through 93 million miles of space to reach the Earth, shouldn't it be lit uniformly if that was the case? Why would there be a single bright spot as if being lit locally? Watching otherwise intelligent grown adults being completely duped and stupefied by this propaganda is honestly embarrassing and pathetic. Starry-eyed NASA fanboys are so excited by the prospect of living in their imagined science fiction Star Trek future that they cannot see the deception for what it is. They hear about building bases on the moon and sending humans to colonize Mars, and these ideas, implanted by Hollywood, then fertilized by NASA, have taken such strong roots in their brains that they can no longer see the forest for the trees. For example, I watched the popular YouTuber Some Ordinary Gamers talking about his excitement about this Artemis 2 launch in his recent The Artemis 2 launch video. The crazy amount of glee and happiness this man was experiencing during the launch, his permanent smile and glassy-eyed wonder, accompanied by his hopes of an off-world future where humanity lives on Mars, just made me sad for how duped the masses truly are. People want to believe they're part of some great exploration of the cosmos, and NASA gives them the ability to be backseat passengers with parasocial relationships. The last thing they want to do is honestly consider the possibility that they're being lied to about the Earth and outer space. So many never even look at the abundant evidence proving their entire worldview is nothing but a patchwork of propaganda and lies.
Oh, I'll go here. It froze up and I had to reboot this thing, but we back, y'all. I don't know why I did that. Alright.
That's why you can rely on Granger for a range of cleaning products and equipment, from disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
NASA continues to release new images and videos from their latest moon mission, exposing themselves more with each one. Meanwhile, backpedaling space fantasy fanboys are working overtime, making excuses for all the anomalies and inconsistencies. Let's start with a quick slideshow of some of the new Earth and Moon images being given to the public, claimed to be real, handheld photographs taken by astronauts through windows in a rocket flying at speeds between 3,000 and 22,000 miles per hour. Most things filmed outside through your car window going just 65 miles per hour are a blur. Yet, NASA never seems to have this problem, even at the incredible speeds they claim to attain. To a discerning eye, the colors, lighting, and textures in these pictures are all very synthetic and unrealistic, looking much more like CGI than actual photography. Here is actual video of the moon taken from Earth by a Nikon P900 super zoom camera. We can see the moon's color, lighting, and textures from Earth in amazing detail with just an 83 times zoom camera, which first of all suggests the moon isn't 240,000 miles away as claimed, but also shows how unnatural and unrealistic the new Artemis images actually are. Even AI bots that are trained to detect and differentiate real photographs from CGI are claiming the new NASA images are fake. In 2026, with the level of realism that CGI, AI, and deepfake technologies have achieved, to see these images and not be at least a little suspicious if they could possibly be fake is frankly disingenuous and gullible beyond belief. Let's look at this image called A Setting Earth. Notice how clear the craters, shadows, and subtle textures appear. It looks like the camera is only a few dozen or at most a few hundred miles away from the moon's surface, being generous. NASA claims, however, that at its nearest, Artemis 2 was never any closer than 4,000 miles away from the moon. Now let's compare that with the following Apollo 11 image from 1969, where the astronauts were supposedly only 60 miles away from the lunar surface. Look at the difference in detail between 60 miles away and 4,000 miles away. Why does everything look far more textured and detailed from 4,000 miles away than it does from 60? Could it be because photo fakery has come a long way since the 60s, and it actually has nothing to do with their supposed distance from the moon? Notice how much more detailed the lighting, shadows, textures, and contrast are on the Artemis moon images. Also, as a quick aside, if all of these moon craters were supposedly created by meteor impacts hitting the surface, how is it even remotely possible that every single meteor arrives at a straight 90 degrees above the surface's zenith? Every crater is a perfect circle. None of them are oblong or elongated as they would have to be if meteors were actually striking from all angles. Now let's look at this image called A Distant Crescent of Home. Notice, first of all, the wonky shape and how both the tiny Earth and the moon appear to be smushed from top to bottom. This is similar to the effect seen during the live stream, when during one section of time, the moon drastically changed shape from a circle to a potato. In this image, the crew was allegedly 40,000 miles away from the lunar surface and 252,000 miles away from Earth. Earth's diameter is supposedly 4 times wider than the moon, while visually, in this picture, The moon's diameter is at least 4 times wider than the Earth. Being generous, it actually appears 5 or 6 times. Now, doing the math, 252,000 divided by 40,000 is 6.3, meaning the crew was 6.3 times closer to the moon than the Earth. But for an object that's actually 4 times smaller to appear 4 times larger, the observer must be situated 16 times closer to the smaller object. In this case, however, Artemis is only 6.3 times closer to the moon than Earth. That is a factor of over 10x discrepancy between the relative size and alleged distances of these two objects and the camera. The Earth should appear considerably larger in this picture. Now compare it back with the setting Earth picture we analyzed first. Here we are supposedly 4,000 miles from the lunar surface and approximately 243,000 miles away from Earth. So compared to the last image, where the crew was 252,000 miles away from Earth, here the crew is only 9,000 miles closer to Earth than in that image. That is a factor of approximately 4%, meaning the size of the Earth should only change a maximum of 4% between the two pictures. In reality, however, and you can measure this for yourself with a ruler and the original NASA.gov images, the Earth changes size a factor of over 1,000% between the two pictures. The Earth is only 4% closer in the second image, but yet appears 1,000% larger. There was a similar size discrepancy in the images sent from Artemis claimed to be halfway to the moon. During their live stream, they stated they were halfway to the moon, and yet the moon appeared much smaller than it does on Earth. In their Hello World image here, only a portion of Africa and a bunch of ocean is shown, leaving the entire other 6 continents to impossibly fit on the other 50% of their CGI globe. In addition to this, they took another similar shot called Dark Side of the Earth, where the exact same cloud patterns are shown as in Hello World. Some people are claiming these images were taken only minutes apart from one another, but as you can see directly from NASA.gov, they state that one was taken on April 2nd and the other was taken on April 3rd. Either way, if they were taken on different days, how could the clouds stay the same? And if NASA has written it wrong on their own website, and these were taken the same day, how can the brightness of Earth change so much when the sun, the only light source in space, is fully eclipsed by the Earth? They also show Earth images like this, where part of the Earth globe is completely dark, hidden behind a Terminator line. How is it that Earth can be shown 3 totally different ways like this? Fully lit, dimly lit, and completely dark. Finally, let's take a look at some video glitches proving they are using CGI, or more specifically, augmented virtual reality, to create all the floating objects the crew interacts with on the spacecraft. They are constantly playing with stuffed toys, their food, the microphone, and other objects to convince the public that they're really floating in outer space and not simply suspended on wires in a studio. But watch as this food pouch spins near this astronaut's face. You can see as the edge grazes his forehead, it glitches out and goes right through, rather than realistically touching his face. There is no change in direction of the pouch from hitting his head, and instead, it just continues floating right through, as if he wasn't there at all. Now pay attention to the red spot on the white pouch. As the pouch spins around slowly, the red dot doesn't spin with the pouch. For several frames, you can see the red dot stay in exactly the same shape and space, not realistically moving and turning with the rest of the bag. Then, as the bag continues to turn, at one point, you can see the red dot just vanishes completely. For several turns, the bag continues spinning around, but the red dot is nowhere to be found. And then, finally, after some more turns, the red dot mysteriously and inexplicably reappears. This is because these are digital and not physical objects which they are interacting with, using a technology called augmented virtual reality. By wearing special VR contact lenses, you are able to see a digital overlay of pre-rendered interactable 3D objects within your physical 3D space. The objects do not exist in physical space, but are seen and interactable live in real time through the use of this technology. Remember, NASA takes over $70 million per day of American taxpayer money. A big-budget Hollywood movie like Gravity, starring Sandra Bullock, was filmed 100% on Earth, using nothing but wires, green screens, and CGI. That movie cost $100 million to make. That's NASA's budget for a day and a half. Imagine what kind of movie can be made with NASA's yearly budget of $24 billion. In fact, you don't have to imagine, because this entire Artemis II charade and everything else from NASA is exactly that. A big-budget Hollywood production made with the express purpose of disseminating this propaganda into the minds of the masses. The loyal NASA fanboy sycophants will try to make excuses and brush these impossible anomalies and wild discrepancies under the rug. But the more discerning amongst us are waking up, and I'm seeing this Artemis mission backfire as many more people are finally seeing through the lies.
Is one for the ages. Project Hail Mary, rated PG-13. This is Purdue University. This is where we prepare the workforce of
A recording. This is a pre-recorded.
Texans aren't just who we serve, it's who we are. We have our own pride and our own flavor. Every Texas-sized moment deserves the lowest prices. Specs, with lower prices since 1962. Shout!
Meet Steve. Steve reads the room and then goes against it.
This clip that I caught yesterday while watching the Artemis II live stream from NASA landing in the ocean off the coast of San Diego is unexplainable. It is ridiculous, and it makes people like myself who are skeptical think this is all fake. And even if you believe this is all real and you think I'm crazy and you think, oh yeah, the moon landings were real, you're just a conspiracy theorist, explain this to me. Explain what you're about to see to me, because you can't. This is a live feed from NASA. This is not a highlight clip. This is live. And what I have here, what I captured, is unexplainable. And even if you are a true believer, you'll have so much cognitive dissonance kicking in now. You're going to have so much copium kicking in to try to explain this away, but you cannot. There is no plausible explanation for what you're about to see other than this was not live and this was not real, and it is all smoke and mirrors. Also, to add more validity to this, so people can't say this is fake, this is me right now about to render this. This is the clip right in front of you. This is all the editing right below you. I'm going to show you right now, live from NASA's own website, okay? This is NASA's own website, to show you the actual clip as well, to show that this is not doctored, that this is not some kind of clip from a news station. This is the official live stream from NASA. And I will pinpoint exactly when it is all happening, so you can see the exact same clip I'm about to show you here live as well on the NASA's official website. So you can see it all here, okay? This is the exact moment in the time of this clip right here, this video you're about to watch. So I want to point that out as well. You go back at the 3:20.52 mark and see the exact clip played exactly the same from the replay last night of the live stream from NASA's official website. So there is no debating this, okay? This is the timestamp right there of this clip you're about to see in this video. There is no explanation. It's over. Exposed. Now, I'm not going to tell you what happens at first. I'm just going to play the clip and see if any of you catch it yourselves while watching this. And then I'll explain what you're missing maybe
or maybe just confirm what you did see with your own eyes. Also, just to give some reference here, these right here, these orange things in the middle here in this little flotation device out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 100 miles off the coast of San Diego, are the Artemis 2 astronauts. That's the 4 of them right there. Just to give reference, they just came out of the space at 40,000 miles per hour, bounced off the atmosphere, and then got stopped by some freaking giant parachutes going 40,000 miles per hour, 30,000 miles per hour. Cloth parachutes, whatever, carbon fiber parachutes, whatever they're made of, slowed down a craft traveling at 40,000 miles per hour. Sure. But we don't have to even get in crazy about that. Just watch this clip. They landed, and a helicopter's flying in. They're going to hook them up to the harness, and they're going to get taken away like it was Armageddon with Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck, and they saved the world. No commentary. Just watch it yourself. Tell me what's so wrong about this clip and what makes no sense.
Back to stay because we've learned all the things we needed to learn.
There's a lot of people pleased here tonight, and we really thank you for joining us. Amit Kshatriya, NASA's Associate Administrator.
Did you catch that? Let's watch it again. Tell me if you're catching what's so ridiculous about this clip. Once again, 4 astronauts, helicopter. There's the guy hooking up the first astronaut here, flying them off to the Navy ship for their medical exam and debriefing by the CIA to tell everybody that this is real, not fake. Here we go.
Back to stay because we've learned all the things we needed to learn.
There's a lot of people pleased here tonight, and we really thank you for joining us, Amit.
Because what just happened is mathematically and physically impossible. This is live. Well, make sure you realize this is live and not a clip of highlights. All right. This is a live feed. You can hear the NASA guy talking in the background. This is live from NASA last night when they landed. This is the helicopter dude hooking up the astronaut to take him away.
There's a lot of people pleased here tonight, and we really...
And within a 1/100th of a second, we went from on the boat getting hooked up to 20 feet in the air. Physically impossible. Not humanly possible unless you want to break and snap. And just like they've traveled at the speed of light, you just killed her, killed him, kill whatever person that is. I don't know. It's not even an astronaut. It's probably a freaking android. Just joking. Seriously, though, watch.
We're pleased here tonight.
And
we really
boom, we're in the sky. We're 30 feet in the ground, 20 feet in the ground, literally in a split second. You cannot track. That's not possible.
And,
you guys go like, hey, we're hooked. Oh, hey, we're like there. Like, this is not a highlight clip. This is not like, oh, I put together pre-recorded. Well, probably is all pre-recorded. It's all done on fake bullshit. Probably. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. This is not real. That's not real. You can't just go from hooking a person up to really bam, we're in the sky within a second. Like they missed this whole area of like lifting them up. Look how slow they're traveling.
Thank you for joining us, Amit Kshatriya.
We're just cruising away slowly. Okay, let's go. Be careful. Be careful. Yeah, and off they go. You cannot go from this. Like it's not physically possible.
People pleased here
this
tonight.
Is not real. That's a recording. This is pre-recorded or whatever the hell's going on because that's not real. You don't just like zoom up like it's like some kind of catapult ride at Disneyland.
We really
and boom, we're in the sky. We're already up there. Like, where the hell did the time go from hooking them up to just pulling them up safely and getting them out of here? That's not possible. No, you cannot explain this. No matter how much copium and bullshit you want to try to spew and how much fake propaganda, nonsense you're trying to gatekeep for NASA, not a space organization.
People pleased here tonight.
And we're like, okay, yeah, we're in the sky. Like, they weren't even hooked up yet. I literally just landed. Like, literally just landed or, like, getting it together. Yeah, hey, what's up? This guy here. Okay, yeah, we're hooking it up. Hooking her up, okay, or him up, or whoever the hell it is. And I was like,
there's a lot of people pleased here tonight.
And we're like, okay, you ready to go? Yeah, bam! We're, like, already up in the sky. Like, where the whole time between hooking them up and getting here go? It literally cuts within one, doop, whoop, whoop, whoop. Like, there he goes, right there, folks. Oh, yeah, bam. From one cut to the next, and the person's already in the sky. Explain that. This is a live feed. I want to make sure we clear that up. This is not a highlight clip. This was captured yesterday while I was watching it live. And I was like, wait, what? I caught that while watching it live. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Also traveling at 40,000 miles per hour through space, bouncing off the atmosphere, coming through an inferno, and then slowing down by having some tarps come out the top. Parachutes. Like, do you know how crazy that is? Like, do you know how fast 40,000, 30,000, 12,000 miles per hour is? Like, let me put it this way. Imagine having a jumbo jet falling out the sky, and then you throw some freaking parachutes off the back, expecting to stop, right? That's going at a couple 100 miles an hour. This is going, like, imagine a fighter jet going 40 times faster than the speed of sound. Just, boom, Mach 40, boom, and then all of a sudden some parachutes slow it down. Like, could you, I don't think you guys fathom how fast 40,000 miles per hour is. But you know what? I'm digressing and I'm muddying the waters. Like, who gives a shit about that insanity and that how that doesn't make any sense with physics? This doesn't make any sense with physics or time. This is like completely.
There's a lot of people pleased here tonight, and
we just
we
went
really
through a time portal and we're in the sky all of a sudden. Come on, people. What is going on here? Someone explain this to me. Someone, this is not highlights. This is live. This is a live feed. So if this is not real, what is? What is fake? What are they lying about? What's going on? Why would they fake that? Why is this not making any sense? Like, I'm not even looking for a reason to, dismiss this. I'm looking for a reason to poke holes in this moon landing. I was like watching. I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe this. I was getting like, involved. I was like, wow, this is so amazing. Maybe they really did this. This is crazy. And then I'm watching and this happens. And I'm like, wait, hold up a second. Bullshit radar. Like antenna pops up. Something ain't right here, man. Smells like bullshit to me, folks. But if you got an answer, I'd love to hear it. Remember, live, not a highlight reel. To me, it's fake. It is. Something's not right here. Something smells off. Anyways, that's my video. Thanks for watching. Ghost Debate Thoughts. Most importantly, last but not least,
by day and by night with.
The crew of the Artemis II has captured some incredible views of Earth.
If they choose the same clouds on both images, it's supposed to be Africa by day and by night with exactly the same angle, so about 12 hours later. And the clouds haven't moved because these aren't photos, they're computer-generated images like all images of the globe. So either NBC made a mistake in selecting the graphic designer or it's intentional to test us, as it is marked on this NASA reel. And why are we shown the Earth in dribs and drabs? Why not film everything? Think about it for 2 seconds. A parachutist comes back with hundreds of photos. GoPro attached to the helmet, 360 camera in hand, 8K video, 120 frames per second. But when it comes to Artemis, we go back to the 1970s with blurry, choppy images, 4 frames per second. As if NASA didn't have the budget for a $400 GoPro, they lost the technology and never found it again.
Problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
And when they do a live broadcast, it's a fixed shot without a window. As soon as they think it's not recording anymore, you see them waiting for instructions from someone backstage. And yes, don't forget they are in a studio to avoid showing you the view. They will distract you by talking about toilet issues.
I heard that there was a little bit of an issue with the toilet.
Or play with their mascot they call CGI. Maybe a hint for CGI. So at this point, if you still believe in this show,
I'd go to the moon.
So guys, that video is originally in French and I use a program in order to translate it. So if it didn't quite match up with what was saying on this, what it was showing on the screen, the words, understand it's because I literally translated it, which is incredible that he was speaking in French. I translated it to English and they still kept like his actual voice and a French accent, which is wild. But as you can see, no one's believing it around the world. And you can go back through that video and just look at all the deception. Now, sorry. It started to play this. This is the full kind of clip of them talking about losing the technology to go back to the moon. That was the excuse for many, many years, right? They lost that technology. It's too difficult. And then also with the footage, they said they lost the footage. And then later on, they came back and said, oh, no, we just recorded over. And then they found it again. Guys, please. But let me play this for you.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
It's a painful process to build it back again because they never went to the moon in the first place. They cannot because we live under a firmament. As the Bible says, it's impenetrable, right? And it separates the waters from above and the waters from below. And the Bible also says the earth is fixed and immovable. Not only that, it sits on 4 pillars, right? And so and it also says that the whole world is in God's hand. But see, they made this all up, right? And it's not just the Bible that says that. I've shown you every civilization, including in our own encyclopedias, right, believed in the firmament and believed in the flat shape of the earth, as the Bible says. And I mean Mayan, Incan, like every Babylonian, a Roman. Like there is not a civilization that did not believe that until NASA came along and they came up with the globe and evolution and Big Bang and space, and we evolved from monkeys. Yes, believing in around Earth and space, that is all from evolution. It goes directly against the Bible. And again, I will say every civilization that ever existed. But this is another video from this guy that I translated.
Space is a prank, and the launch of Artemis 2 is scheduled for tomorrow as an April Fool's joke. The first official photo of Earth was also taken on April 1st, 1960. They've been fooling you with synthetic images for over 50 years. Jack Parsons, one of the true founders of NASA, was a sex magician. He performed orgy rituals to invoke Babylon and impregnate his rockets so they would pierce the firmament. For them, it's a ritual of rebirth and domination. A rocket is a giant phallus. The launch is a cosmic penetration, and the moon symbolizes the female cycle. NASA in Hebrew means to seduce and deceive, so astronauts are comedians.
You guys land on the moon,
No,
which
you
was
didn't.
what?
No, you didn't. You watched animation.
We didn't go there. But you have been so conditioned to believe it that even when they openly admit it, you see nothing.
Do you guys realize the shape of it? And even what I told you about with Artemis, okay? So Artemis is actually the sister. These are demonic gods, right? They're known by different names in different civilizations. They did exist, right? But these are fallen angels or Nephilim hybrids, right? The fallen angels mated with the daughters of men and created Nephilim, these giant demonic beings who were half human or partially human. And with that, they were seen as gods all around the world. They were seen as gods during different civilizations, but they had different names. So as I've shown you, even within DC, Artemis is actually Ishtar, right? If you don't know this, Congress, the Capitol building, is actually the womb of Artemis, Ishtar, Columbia, the District of Columbia. There's a giant statue of Columbia on the top, as well as inside. But like I said, there's different names. Now, when you get into the details, so Artemis and Apollo were brother and sister, but if you see the Capitol building and the way DC is laid out, I grew up in DC, guys, so I used to call it the big pencil, but it's the monument. But really it's a phallus. It's supposed to be Osiris's penis, his junk, right? He was dismembered by one of his brothers, and they could never find his penis. And so it literally, if you look at it, you have the Capitol building, and then right along here, which is supposed to be, like, again, the womb of Ishtar, and then Osiris which was her husband, which is his dismembered, the monument is his dismembered penis. I kid you not. Right. So going along with this, the symbolism is everywhere, guys. The symbolism is everywhere if you have eyes to see. But see, they don't want us to. They don't want us to see those things. But that's what they're trying to do, penetrate the firmament. But they know they can't penetrate the firmament. That's why they always just go down, whether it's SpaceX, whether it's NASA, or any other space agency in other countries. It always just curves down. And they come up with all these reasons why, but the trajectory and the math make absolutely no sense. Oops.
This is a photo of the Earth taken from the Artemis 2, exactly 12 hours after the first photo of the Earth was taken. Do you notice anything? It's literally the exact same photo, the exact same cloud patterns, and Africa is in the exact same position. I thought the Earth was rotating at 1,000 miles per hour. Not only that, it's orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles per hour. All of that movement through outer space, and the Artemis 2 managed to take a picture of the Earth in the exact same position 12 hours later at nighttime with the exact same cloud patterns. And this is the Artemis 2 halfway to the moon. Yeah, propelling through the void of outer space, which is impossible. And they were halfway. Look at the size of the moon when you're on Earth. Like, just go outside and look right now. Do you see the size comparison? How are they halfway to the moon, but it's way, way, way smaller than it would be if you're on Earth, when you're further away from the moon when you're on Earth? And look at this video. The Artemis 2 launching, it literally looks like the Artemis 2 crew is ziplining out of the rocket. Look, you see that? Have you noticed how they didn't show anyone in the crew cab once it was actually like launched? That's because they ziplined out of the rocket. That is a giant helium balloon that is shooting way up into the air and then falling into the Atlantic Ocean. But I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only. Of course, space is real.
Hi, everyone. This is just a quick update. I saw this being shared. I thought it was fake. I just ignored it, but now I found out it's real. It's on the NASA website. And they said that they shared this photo of Earth from the Orion spacecraft's window. Well, instantly I could tell it was fake because I've been doing this a long time. And I made this graphic. I'm on Canva here. And as you can see, here's his image. I removed the background. And if you put it over an overlay of the continents on Earth, where are the other continents? There's no way all that could be on the other side. So I take this to scale. See, that's Africa. So I made it to scale. And I lined it up over Africa, and it's not perfect because it's on a ball graphic, and this is a flat graphic. But yeah, that's what it looks like. There's no way all of this and all of this is on the other side of this. So just a little something for you to ponder.
Now I blew this one up because it's just mostly a horizontal image and just some words on the outside. So now you guys are getting a bigger video. I know you like it when it's not just vertical. Sorry, I just can fit what I can fit on the screen.
It was all recorded on these telemetry tapes. So where is this hard evidence?
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence. And as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
But your own research has shown the telemetry data is missing.
That's right.
Could this be true? Mankind's first interplanetary exploration and the original science data is missing? If it's anywhere, it should be here at NASA's Goddard Space Center in Maryland, home to the National Space Science Data Archives.
This film you're making now, what is it? Does it have a name? I mean, do you have a name for it yet, or are you
calling it Did We Go?
Did We Go? Okay.
Doesn't have it either. The Smithsonian doesn't have it. Johnson doesn't.
Right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
NASA admitted that it had lost the original footage of man's first steps on the moon.
NASA has lost all the original Apollo moon landing footage and telemetry data. So to try and verify the original footage or the data that's in the modules that supposedly went to and from the moon, you can't check those now. So there's no physical confirmable evidence that they were anywhere but a sound studio.
Yeah, and I want the audience to understand what you just said. Folks, what Eric is saying, that the most heralded, most famous accomplishment of mankind, of humans, the landing on the moon, NASA lost everything.
Now, this is another video, guys, just to drive this point home of how, the entire thing is fake. Like, if you can't see that by now, I think you know. Now, I don't agree the guy is like cursing and then he's calling people retarded. I don't believe in that. I don't think people are that or name calling. It's not necessary, guys, to prove the point. It's not necessary, right? But I thought it was funny just to show that people across the board, they just are not believing it, whether they're Christian or not. They're into space. They're into everyone is they are calling out NASA and how they've completely lied. And I think people are passionate because they want people to wake up. Guys, they want you to wake up because the sooner you wake up and once your eyes are open, you can see everything has been a lie. That is how the veil lifts off of your eyes. But let's go ahead and play this. And like I said, I don't agree with the name calling, guys. We don't need to do it, but it's still interesting.
You actually believe this? Like, we never went to the fucking moon, dude.
How did moon photos appear in newspapers the very next morning if Apollo astronauts were nearly 250,000 miles away?
It's so obvious. It's retarded if you believe we went. Like, it's literally retarded.
Signals had to travel space, oceans, labs, and printing presses. How did everything line up overnight?
If you can look at the footage that I'm about to put below and believe we still went, you are fucking
Who's filming him? A guy? How'd the fucking guy get up there if this is the first guy that's supposed to be on the fucking moon? A different rocket ship?
And if this was the greatest journey ever, why did the pictures feel instantly ordinary?
I don't know. So they sent the rocket shit up there. He got off and he's like, all right, come on up now. I'm ready to fucking film. Are you fucking serious? Rocket ship? He's supposed to be the first guy on the moon. It's bullshit. The car. How the fuck did the car fit in that rocket ship? They fucking get bouncing around like a fucking jerk off. Yeah, watch. Let me show you. There it goes. Bye-bye. You know what? I'm going to stay behind. You guys go back to Earth. I'll fucking die up here. And how the fuck did he get the film back to Earth? What happened to the guy back on the moon? They just left him?
Every time I see the Italian dad's video, it just cracks me up. He sounds like a New York Italian dad, New York, New Jersey, the Northeast, just his sound. But if he's asking real questions, everyday people are asking the same questions, and we never get any answers to it. Who filmed it? Because one of the ways you can support the work, me pulling this all out, exposing the truth, lifting the veil off of people's eyes, is by going to real.
We were doing scenes from bad 80s sitcom when they introduced the cast of characters. So that's why we all did those, and we are cracking up here.
I'm sure they are cracking up. So they're playing around, putting out these little viral or social media posts where the images in the video that we're getting from NASA are an absolute failure. And this is across the board. Even people who still believe in the AI, some of it's AI, but believe in the NASA PSYOPs law. Guys, it's just a bloodbath. and I tell you, things are fake when it's the mainstream media, how they're pushing this. Anything that the media is pushing or talking about, you can guarantee that that is propaganda, like that alone. And in the usual shields who are kind of, you know, podcasters and different people who, you know, whatever the government says, no matter who's in the government, they're going to be putting out this propaganda. And this, guys, this is how you know, along with all the other things that I've shown you, but this is interesting. All right. This is the moon ritual involving Freemasons, skull and bones, and more. So hopefully you can see it on the screen, guys. These, it's as big as I can make it and fit everything on here. But hopefully you get the idea of what's going on in this. 322 is the skull and bones number. 33, which you will see everywhere when there's a psyop, even with Minneapolis, with her name, Renee Good and Alex Preddy, which no one's talking about anymore, but there were 33s all over that, as well as other things that let me know that that was a psyop. I even saw like AI hands, just digging into it. And so I'm not running with everything that comes out, but I played this video, or I showed you the picture of this guy's tattoo, which Grok tried to say this was a wolf. That's what he said. Then the guy is searching up Baal. See what Baal looks like. Could be an interpretation of that or just a straight up demon. Then the Blue Origin crew. And I told you, if you look at NASA, if you look at any of these patches and things that they use, you will find occult symbolism in all of them. All of them. Just straight out ram's head right there. Look at that. Goat head. There. Turn it upside down. That's what you get. Look. I mean, could this be any more clear? And some people say, well, that's just a coincidence. No, it's not. This happens so much. Now, this is another thing, these 4 baskets that were being lowered as the rocket took off. They're saying that the astronauts are in there. That could be a possibility. I don't think they're in there at all. I think it's just a missile that goes into the ocean. We don't have any footage of them actually going in there. It's just, it's all cut up garbage. Like they'll show like a widescreen and then they'll you know, show us footage of something else and then something else. There's never a continuous live stream. And that's why people are pretty angry right now because, you know, while they're playing games, fixing the toilet, showing, I mean, that woman, she's constantly fixing the toilet. And the other guy's exercising, they're playing with this little plushie. It's just weird. It's just weird. So instead of us getting what, you know, we spend billions of dollars, almost $70 million a day on NASA, and they can't give us a continuous shot. And even shots, guys, no matter where I look, every shot of this rocket, right, taking off, it cuts off before you can see the ending. And this is supposedly even footage from, you know, just regular people who are uploading it. I don't believe it's regular people uploading most of it because the way they cut it off, they don't do a continuous shot. There's always a jump in it and then it just cuts off before we see where the rocket turns because, you know, it goes up and then curves down, right? And most of us believe it goes into the Bermuda Ocean. I mean, the Bermuda Triangle. See, there's the trajectory. But they cut it off before you could see that. And you would think with everyone questioning NASA and all the conspiracy theories that are out there that they would want to show and, you know, triple down, quadruple down and show every single thing. But no, even people who are not conspiracy theorists, they're frustrated because it's a bust. But then it's shown, I showed you guys this before. If you notice, this is the Google Gmail logo. And then the apron, kind of like this sashes that they wear. We showed that the other day that are the Freemasons. And I told you as well, oh, this is a coin that has the Freemason logo on there. And then there's a rocket. And then that's Buzz Aldrin, right? And I told you he brought a Freemason flag on the moon landing, the fake moon landing. He actually brought an entire flag, but then he wears this Freemason ring. All right, and then 322 feet tall. There, I did a breakdown of all the 322s, the skull and bones symbolism throughout this entire thing that they've shown us. But let's keep going. Now, you guys enjoy this, right? You guys enjoy these NASA bloopers that I've played before, but here's some more for good measure. In case you have never seen these, it's comical. It's absolute comedy.
Sometimes something a little different happens.
Whoops, I'll get it.
Sometimes.
So this clip is someone pushing former President George Bush through a NASA site. When you look behind, you see, what is that? And something green floating. It almost looks like a studio green with studio blue. Oh, this is the finished product, and that's supposed to be the water. And speaking of which, here's someone doing a pretty poor job of editing a very similar shot.
Hello?
Hi there. This is Regional Power and Utility. We're calling you about an outstanding balance.
That's how water works.
With there were very few.
Steve, you're in the shot, Steve.
Vibrations of any sort.
Get out the shot.
With
Steve,
there were very few.
Larry, we gotta fire Steve again.
Vibrations of any sort.
This crew attempted a spacewalk outside the station. Here's a live look at the astronauts.
Whoops.
Well, I don't believe. I don't think that. Yeah.
Where's your spacesuit?
And did you know that in space, your head can disappear for a few seconds? Wow, how did he do that? That's amazing. I didn't know astronauts were also magicians. Oh my gosh, you guys, look how everything is floating. Look at that. Oh, except the water. Don't look at that. And I don't know what this guy's holding, but it is super heavy. Look, he almost drops it in space and it goes straight down. Oh my gosh, it's so heavy. Larry, how's it going up there? Yeah, you got that tuna can I sent you? Great. Oh my God, Larry, what happened? Larry, we lost you. Well, we have your head, but not your body. Larry.
And I told you, it's not just NASA, guys. It's all the space agencies around the world, every government. They're all in on it. They're all in on it. They're in on it when it comes to space and also Antarctica. The countries can't agree on anything, but somehow every government has agreed on both of those. Why is that? Why is that? And we know why. They don't want us to know the truth. They don't want us to know that we live under a firmament, as the Bible says, and that every civilization up until NASA came along, including our own encyclopedias, said that we live under a firmament and that the earth was fixed and immovable. So they decided, no, we came from monkeys. It was a big bang and we came from monkeys and we're spinning ball through space and there's nothing out there, is a great void. All of that is so that people do not realize that they are special, that God created them with a purpose, that he is looking down on us. And as the Bible says, that the entire world is in his hand. It is fixed and immovable. We're not just, evolved from chimps and there's no purpose for our life, right? That is just not true. But that is the reason people always ask, well, why would they do that? Because they want to hide the truth about God. They want to control every level of your thinking, of your being. They want to control you. And I don't think people realize how psychopathic it is. Like the levels that they will go to creating this. And there's a lot more that goes into this, guys, that they have hidden from us. I can go on and on. But I always tell people this is, you don't trust the government with anything. And this is the same government that gave us the Epstein files, but yet you trust them with NASA. Okay. And guys, this is every administration. This is the entire government up and down. That's why I say I trust no one in government, because they all know this from the lowest to the high. They know the truth. And it's just, why aren't they telling us? Even our history, how we were founded, the proof of giants and giant beings and giant animals all over the world. We'll do a video about it. I've done it before, but it's just mind-blowing. And just how they lie about how they invented how we invented electricity. It does not make sense. And I've told you the story of how the television was invented. Maybe I should just do a full video breakdown. It is so ridiculous. And every time you look back at anything they're talking about, we invented, it doesn't make sense because they found the technology. The technology was given to them, which we know from the book of Enoch. Right, the 200 fallen watchers, those angels in the book of Enoch is referenced in the Bible. But of course, they had to take it out because it didn't fit canon with King James and all of that. Guys. So the truth is in there, but the fallen angels taught man technology, taught them about weapons, beauty, taught us everything, even abortion. This is what the book of Enoch says. But this is what I put. I put, child, they done the math. And I put two those guys. I was struggling. The trajectory of Artemis 2 lands in the Bermuda Triangle. NASA, not a space agency, is a complete psyop clown show. And remember, you can't spell Satan without NASA and T minus. So
when you stay with Choice Hotels, you get more of what you value. Like this family, who saved a...
This is what I want you to see. Let me make this a little bigger. So people have done the math and show that the trajectory, not just of this space rocket, but all of them, including SpaceX, they all curve. They all curve down. They'll say it's because it's the curve of the Earth, and they're gonna circle the Earth, and that's how they get up the trajectory to get out into outer. It makes no. They make up things, and people just buy into it. But there's no footage of this. They just say it, and people believe it. But they don't want you to believe what you see with your eyes and ears. They don't want you to believe your eyes, right? They don't want you to believe what you hear. They don't want that. And the programming is so strong. That is where most people are. The veil is still over their eyes. The deception is still there. And if you try to, show them truth, well, I mean, it's like full out cult warfare. Like they will defend NASA, defend the government with their lives. Like it is just insane. They'll call you retarded. They'll say you're dumb, say you're low IQ. And that's what they do. They just throw out names. That's how I know as well. Like all you can do is throw out names. But let's continue. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the music because I don't know if that's copyrighted at this point. But look, it's just falling back down, guys. It's falling back down towards the ocean. But you see, every video that we can get, somehow it magically cuts off around that point, and no one follows it further. That's it. That's all we're getting. Okay. Now, I thought this was interesting. People pointed out that the NASA Baphomet photo of the Earth, because they put out a photo, then people cut it in half and flipped it and put the double sides together. If you do that with money, currency around the world, you'll see the same thing. Where you'll see Baphomet goats, you'll see demonic beings, owl. It's very, very strange. But tell me what you see. And different people are seeing different things. And they said, if the truth of that image that NASA put out, this is what the Earth would actually look like with all the chemtrails and things. So people are just posting different things. So I thought this was interesting. You can see this a lot of ways. There's a head there with some things, looks like wings. You can see, or you can interpret this as a nose, a mouth, the eyes. Some people see it here. But you tell me what you may or may not see in this. And then I thought this was funny. If you look at all the old like pictures and videos from NASA, this is what they'll look at this. She's using a soldering iron that is hot, burning hot to the skin with bare gloves. I mean, with bare hands, no gloves, no protection, no soldering protection, just a little light eye gear. And then she's just touching the hot point on the soldering knife, on the soldering tool. Like, how is anyone still believing any of this mess? Now, let me play this. Okay. Because this is funny.
So it's 2026 and we still can't fathom the fact that bubbles don't really act like this in space, yet we're supposed to believe that all of this is real. Well, I thought now would be a perfect time to remind you guys that NASA is actually being taken to court, and it's an ongoing court case of all of their fakery and deception and wasting of taxpayers' money. Check this out.
Afternoon, Commissioners. Today, I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in your county. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. Examples of this include astronauts fading in and out of the screen, green screen glitches, grabbing objects that aren't really there, pulling on invisible wires, getting tangled in their harnesses, and even astronauts appearing out of thin air. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Now, unfortunately, I can't show you these clips in here today, but I will be sending them to you. Outside the International Space Station, during spacewalks, air bubbles have been recorded on numerous occasions. How is it possible for air bubbles to be present in the vacuum of space? I once questioned astronaut Scott Kelly about this phenomenon. His body language and answers only created more questions. In 2013, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned during a spacewalk when his helmet filled with water. This happened again just last year. Air bubbles, helmets filling with water, and drowning. Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they train for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space, because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. And if they are indeed faking the funk, it is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal.
Okay, does anyone think that they will do anything about it? So I did not know about this, so I did a little digging. Well, I asked Rock, and this is what he said. So I asked if there was an update on this, and he says, yes, there have been some developments related to Justin Robert. That's who was speaking. Also referred to as Justin Harvey in some reports, the activist in the video from April 4th, 2023. So, which is wild. So exactly 3 years. The public comment session, Robert accused NASA. Okay, we saw that. It says later developments. Robert continued speaking at commission meetings. In May of 2024, he was removed from a meeting by deputies after making claims about the 1986 Challenger astronauts, alleging some were still alive, tying into broader conspiracy narratives. Maybe we'll play those videos where people, these people look like a match, and some have the exact same name. He then filed a federal lawsuit against Brevard County in August of 2024, arguing that his removal violated his First Amendment free speech rights and constituted viewpoint discrimination, since he had been allowed to speak on NASA topics the previous year without interruption. As of the latest available reports from mid-2024 onward, the lawsuit was recently filed, but there are no public updates on a resolution, settlement, or court ruling. No evidence emerged of any formal county or NASA investigation into the fraud claims he raised. Of course, why would the county commission? They make a lot of money off of this, guys. What is the government going to do? Investigate itself? Cut off the fraud of itself? We've seen that. That's a no-win, guys. They don't care. They absolutely don't care. And the sooner you wake up to that reality and you put that in perspective, understand if they don't care about this, if they would lie about this, what else? What else have we been lied to about our entire lives? So, did we though?
The evening of April 1st, 2026, a 322-foot rocket blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. 322. Where have I heard that number before? Oh, I remember. It's the Skull and Bones, but that just must be a coincidence. Anyway, the rocket blasted off, and it was the same concrete slab that launched every Apollo mission to the moon half a century earlier. 4 people were inside, and according to NASA, they are the first humans to leave Earth's orbit since 1972. The capsule's called Integrity, and the spacecraft around it is called Orion. And the program that built all of it, the rocket, the spacecraft, the mission itself, the multi-billion-dollar plan to put humans back on the moon, well, it's called Artemis. But you know that. And according to NASA, they specifically chose that name Artemis for the moon mission because it's Apollo's, the god Apollo, by the way, his twin sister. And the name fit. And here's where it gets crazy, guys, because in 2019, in a press release, they said, well, they described the goddess that they named their flagship Artemis program after, using a phrase that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. They called her, you're not going to believe this, the torch bringer. Okay, the torch bringer. Let that sink in. Literally, that's what they said. Because when I read that line, the torch bringer, well, it basically broke something in the back of my mind because that's a phrase that I've seen before in a text that's a lot older than that NASA press release. And when I traced back that word back to ancient Greece and found out what the Greeks actually called this Roman goddess and what it was translated, what the Romans translated it to, and also what the Latin version of this word means, it's sitting in every single Bible around the world. Well, guys, I knew that I couldn't let this go because what I found is a lot more strange than most people can understand. Now, before we get into it, I want to back up a little bit because first we need to meet the men who built the institution that built this rocket, okay? NASA. Because one of the men who built NASA, who built JPL itself, and who was instrumental in the American rocket program, well, he would have recognized that word immediately. And the other man, well, he would have dropped to his knees and started praying, okay? Because the history of the American rocketry program has 2 founding fathers. They worked in the same decade and they shaped the same institution. And I'm not sure that 2 humans could have been any more different. The first, you probably heard of him, Jack Parsons. He was born in 1914. I think it was in Los Angeles. A brilliant man, right? According to mainstream, anyway. He was self-taught, okay? Ask yourself, how does a man who's self-taught understand rocketry, understand rocket science, and is able to build an organization such as NASA, such as JPL? Okay, ask yourself that. Because in the 1930s, this man, Jack Parsons, helped found a group at Caltech that would later become the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, all right, JPL. The institution that still, right now, to this very day, manages NASA's deep space missions. And Jack Parsons himself invented the first ever castable composite rocket propellant, okay? It's solid fuel chemistry that became the basis for the space shuttle and the Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles that carry America's nuclear warheads, all right? These all came from a man who was self-taught and a man who was also deeply embedded in the occult.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about Jack Parsons, if I could.
He was an occultist.
He was a Satanist.
Pure evil. And that SLS rocket that launched Artemis 2, the one that everybody just watched on April 1st, 2026, well, guess what? It uses twin solid rocket boosters that are built on the solid fuel technology that traces its lineage back to Jack Parsons and his chemistry. This man, Jack Parsons, the occultist, his chemistry is physically inside of this rocket, inside of most of the rockets that NASA launches. And he chanted Aleister Crowley's Hymn to Pan before every single rocket test. Think about what this means. Think about the implications of this, that the very foundation of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the very foundation of the space mission itself is based on occultism, and what some people might call Satanism. Now let's talk about Aleister Crowley real quick, the man that the British press deemed the most wicked man in the entire world. Parsons became a head of Aleister Crowley's California Lodge. Seriously. And by the way, he gave most of his salary to Aleister Crowley's organization. And then in 1947, a man named L. Ron Hubbard spent 3 days conducting what would be called the Babylon working ritual in the desert with Jack Parsons himself. Now, the Babylon working ritual it's a satanic ritual. They call it sex magic, and it's basically a ritual to summon an entity from the Book of Revelation. Crowley himself thought that this ritual went too far, and Parsons swore an oath declaring himself, in his own words, mind you, basically the Dajjal, the Antichrist. All right. And Jack Parsons, he died in a mysterious explosion in 1952. He blew himself up. And by the way, Jack Parsons has a crater on the dark side of the moon named after him. And if you think that's strange, you're going to think it's even stranger that JPL, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, was effectively founded on Halloween night. Halloween night is the highest satanic holiday, and proof of this can be found in this U.S. government document released by the Department of Justice called Satanic Cult Awareness. So the second founding father of JPL, of NASA, was none other than Werner von Braun himself. Born in Germany, 1912, he was a Nazi. And this Nazi was brought to America and given a position of power in the United States government through Operation Paperclip. And if you look at Werner von Braun's history, it's horrifying. It's horrifying that he was able to commit these war atrocities in World War II. He was able to do these terrible things to people, and then he was brought over and given this position of power. This is horrifying, people. So what did von Braun do? Well, he designed the Saturn V rocket, the machine that actually carried people to the moon. Well, if you believe the moon landing is real. Anyway, so after arriving to America, von Braun, on the surface anyway, he supposedly converted to Christianity. Now, whether or not this is true or if it was some sort of PR stunt, who knows? But according to the records, he was a Christian. And his favorite verse was Psalm 19, that the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament shows his handiwork. So, and he liked this verse so much that he put it on his gravestone. Now, you can speculate as to why he put this on his gravestone or why that's his favorite verse. But I think the connections are a lot more, let's just say, strange than they're made out to be. So here you have two men, the same decade, one chanting satanic hymns from Aleister Crowley's rituals, and the other one was supposedly praying to Jesus. And the program that these men created, and mind you, they didn't work together, but both of their work were instrumental in creating what we now know as, the NASA space program. Their work is what made the Artemis 2 mission possible in the first place. So here's where the investigation starts, because things are about to get strange. So in 2019, NASA needed a new name for its lunar program, and they chose Artemis. So a man named Jim Bridenstine, who was the administrator of the time at NASA, he explained it simply. He said that Apollo's twin sister, Artemis, the first woman to the moon, the goddess is female. It fits, right? The spacecraft that carries the crew inside the Artemis program itself is called Orion, the name for the constellation. In Greek mythology, Orion is the hunting companion of Artemis. And the thing is that every version of that myth, and every version, there's a problem. There's a problem with how the story ends. And we'll get there too, because we're going to get to the ancient record and it's going to make everything a lot more clear. Because once you get past the surface level, it's like, wow, I can't believe this is actually true. It can't be a coincidence, even though some people might say it is. But the way I see it, there's no way that this is an actual coincidence. It can't be. So before we get to the ancient record, though, I want to show you something. I want to show you something pretty interesting, because in 1960, a NASA engineer named Abe Silverman, he proposed the name for the agency's moon program. He chose Apollo, the Greek sun god, the twin brother of Artemis. And when people asked why a Greek god, Silverstein's answer, you want to know what it was? He said this. He said that Apollo riding his chariot across the sun was appropriate for the grand scale of this moon mission that they were planning. So they chose an ancient god to be the face of the first moon mission, Apollo. So that decision, it's not something that happened in a vacuum. It actually set the precedent, because the next one, Mercury, the guide who leads the souls to the underworld. And then you have Gemini, the divine twins. You have one mortal and one divine twin. And like we said, Apollo, the sun god, riding towards the heavens. And then for nearly 50 years, things started to change a little bit. You had Skylab, you had the space shuttle missions, you had the International Space Station. No mythological names at all. The mythology seemed to vanish from NASA's programs altogether. So here we are now, and NASA decided to go back to the moon. The mythology here with Artemis, it came back with it. And the names they chose, they don't just reference random Greek gods. No, it actually tracks with this overarching story with the actual relationships inside the mythology itself. Artemis is Apollo's twin. The spacecraft Orion, the hunter, is connected to Artemis as well. I mean, you can spend hours mapping these like on a whiteboard or something because the connections just keep coming. The precision, it kind of started to bother me because these aren't random. These aren't random selections from a book of myths. They're connected, they're intentional, and somebody has been doing their homework. I mean, they're choosing names that fit a mythological architecture so sophisticated and so specific that no PR department in the world would have a reason to maintain this unless there's a specific reason behind it. And here's the timeline, people. November 2022, NASA launched the Artemis 1. It was an uncrewed like test flight. There was no humans on board, just some mannequins, I think. And then the Orion capsule flew around the moon for like, I think it was like 25 days or something like that, and then came back. The engineers found a cracked heat shield, and it was like pretty splintered up and pretty bad, worse than their models predicted. So they spent 3 years trying to figure out what went wrong and fixing it. On April 1st, 2026, they tried it again, and this time there was 4 people inside. And this is what we're talking about now, right? Artemis 2, and it's a 10-day flight around the moon. And they won't land on the moon, right? That will come later. I think it's for 2028. But they're basically going to swing around the far side of the moon. They're going to lose contact with Earth entirely and supposedly travel farther away from this planet than any human has ever gone before, according to NASA, if you believe that official story. Now, if you believe the official stories of the moon landings, you have, I think it's July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11. 2 men land on the moon. One of them is Buzz Aldrin. And history itself sees Buzz Aldrin as like the second person ever to walk on the lunar surface. But here's the thing about Buzz Aldrin. Most people don't realize what he brought with him. This is a fact. It's a fact that he brought this item with him. Even if you don't believe the moon landings, this is still part of the history. So Buzz Aldrin was a 33rd degree Freemason. He carried a special document from the Grand Master, a document that granted him authority to claim Masonic territorial jurisdiction of the moon. Seriously, he carried a handmade silk flag that was embroidered with the words Supreme Council 33, Southern Jurisdiction, USA. He brought that to the moon. He was claiming the moon for Freemasonry, for the god of the Freemasons. Okay, after the Eagle landed, he stepped outside and Aldrin performed a ritual. And guys, NASA kept it quiet for decades. The Grand Lodge, however, the Grand Lodge of Texas, it later chartered the Tranquility Lodge number 2000, a Masonic lodge with jurisdiction on the moon. And the overall manager of the Apollo program, the man responsible for every single mission from Mercury through Apollo, well, yeah, that man's a Freemason. Not only is he a Freemason, he's a 33rd degree Freemason. So here you have 2 33rd degree Freemasons who are intimately involved in the moon landing, and they claimed it for the god of the Freemasons. It was a ritual. And guys, this is all documented. It's documented by the Freemasons themselves and their own publications. They admit it, and they don't try to hide it. They're actually proud of it, and I think it deserves to be taken seriously. Like I said, whether or not you believe the moon landing actually happened, the fact that they're claiming that they brought this 33rd degree Mason and did this ritual, this Masonic ritual on the moon, tells you everything you need to know about it. And guys, you have to understand that most NASA employees, they're engineers, they're physicists, they're not mystics, they're not psychics, they're not Satanists. But the ones in charge, well, apparently they were at one point, and according to some, they still are today. So I looked, and I looked hard, and I didn't find any evidence. There was no documents, there was no whistleblower, there was no smoking gun. But that doesn't mean that the story goes cold, because here's what I did find. The names track. The names, they more than track. They track through the mythological relationships with precision that's really hard to explain by like just random happenstance, all right? There's a specific word in ancient record that really proves everything. It was a title given to this specific goddess by her own priests, documented in ancient texts that have been sitting in libraries for more than, 2,000 years? Nobody at NASA has ever addressed this. Nobody at NASA has ever explained this coincidence, right? And this coincidence is a word that when you translate it, it changes this investigation from dealing with pagan goddesses to dealing with Satan himself, with Lucifer, with the whole Luciferian doctrine. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let's start with what most people think they know, right? You have Artemis, the goddess of the moon. It's Apollo's twin sister. There's a silver bow, there's a deer at her side. That's the version that you'll get from a 2-minute Wikipedia search. And it's not wrong, really. It's just not finished. That's not the whole story. Because in order to understand the whole story of who Artemis really is, you have to go back farther and you have to look at the bigger picture. Because this surface level Artemis isn't the full picture of who Artemis is. In the ancient world, Artemis was 1/3 of a triad. Think about that. A triad. It was 3 goddesses who were worshipped together. And these three goddesses are identified as three faces, three different faces behind the same power. It's basically a perversion of the Trinity. It's a perversion of God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit. But these three goddesses are considered to be one. So you have Artemis, who is the maiden, Earth, the hunt, virginity. And then you have Selene, the mother, heaven, the moon itself. And then here's the one that makes a lot more sense. Here's the one that brings it all together. The third one is Hecate.
Hecate, Queen of Darkness, revenge yourself against the Thessalians.
The goddess Hecate has spoken. Hecate, Queen of Darkness, you've always helped me.
Artemis, Selene, Hecate. Who's Hecate? Hecate is the crone, the underworld, the crossroads itself. Hecate, historically, throughout the entire history of our civilization, was known as the goddess of witchcraft, sorcery, necromancy, communication with the dead. And a 5th century BCE, there was a sculptor from Athens who carved the very first known triple-formed Hecate statue, 3 women back to back, looking in 3 different directions at one time. That image stuck. And the Romans, well, guess what? They worshipped all 3, Diana, Luna, and Trivia. And they combined all 3 of these into one singular entity. And guess what? Modern witchcraft, modern Wicca, they worship this exact triad, this exact triple goddess. This is the central framework to the religion of witchcraft. You have the maiden, the mother, and the crone, all right? And this is the exact symbolism that is on our Artemis 2 mission. And here's the thing, guys. When you invoke one face, the ancient world understood that you're invoking all 3 of them. The third face is the queen of the witches. And if you're still here after that, you're going to be ready for what comes next, because Artemis carried torches. In the ancient world, this wasn't decorative. This was liturgical, all right? The symbolism of Artemis carrying a torch really brings this whole thing home, and it solidifies just how creepy this whole Artemis 2 mission really is. So let's go. There's a thing called the Orphic hymns. They're basically ancient Greek ritual prayers. Some of the oldest texts that survive call Artemis the torchbearer. There's this ancient Greek 2nd century historian named Pausanias, and he recorded her Roman title. You're never going to believe what it is. Diana Luciferia.
Wait, what?
Could it be Lucifer?
Lucifer is an angel, a fallen angel.
Artemis, the light bearer. Her official name was Phosphoros, the name her actual priest used in rituals. It's documented by multiple sources, independent of each other. This is a piece of linguistics that really does change everything about this investigation, and it changes everything about the Artemis moon mission itself. So here's the thing that brings this whole thing together. The Greek word for Phosphoros, remember, Phosphoros is her Roman name. A Latin word for Phosphoros means Lucifer, the light bringer. Guys, this is the exact same thing. The light bringer, Lucifer, Phosphoros, Hecate, Artemis, it's all the same name. This is not interpretation, guys. It's translation. And it's been confirmed through ancient texts, all right? The star called Venus in Greek is Phosphoros. In Latin, it's called Lucifer. Artemis was called Phosphoros. Phosphoros is Lucifer. It's not metaphorically, okay? It's linguistically. This is the same word, just said a different way. And NASA in 2019, their own press release described this goddess that they named the program after. They called her the Torchbringer. Literally, they said it. They used the exact title, the Torchbringer, the Lightbringer, Lucifer.
Dude, this is crazy. Can't be a coincidence, right?
Now, let me show you what they named the spacecraft, because in every single version of the surviving ancient Greek myths, Artemis killed Orion. Different versions, different reasons, same ending. She killed him, and she placed his body among the stars. Okay? Does this symbolism, does it make sense what I'm getting at here? Because Artemis killed Orion and placed the body among the stars. Now, I'm not saying that something's going to happen. What I'm saying is the symbolism here is unmistakable, and you can't argue it. It's either coincidence or it's not. I think this whole thing lines up way too specifically to be coincidence. What do you think? And remember, NASA named the crew spacecraft inside the Artemis program Orion. The humans ride inside of the body of the hunter that was killed by the goddess Artemis, carried to the heavens by a program bearing her exact name. And also in Egyptian cosmology, the constellation Orion wasn't just a hunter. It was the Lord of the dead, the god of the afterlife and resurrection. The Egyptians believed that the souls of the pharaohs traveled to Orion's belt to unite with Osiris in eternity. And some researchers argue that the Great Pyramids of Giza themselves align with those specific stars. So guys, bottom line here, I've looked at the ancient Greek sources. I've read the scholarly analysis of this. I've looked at what the ancient Christians carved into the temple of Artemis in ancient Ephesus. And the most complete explanation that I can come up with why every single name in this program, this Artemis program, points to the same exact place that are sitting in these ancient manuscripts that were written thousands of years before NASA even existed. I think that the ancient texts, they describe exactly what we're seeing. It's a spiritual architecture that's behind the names of these programs. And these are the same entities that the nations worship. And the name of the program itself, Artemis, well, like I said before, it's Phosphoros. That's what the ancient Romans called Lucifer. So this is Luciferian in its very nature. And linguistically, there's no denying that fact, right? So I'm just looking at the names of these gods and these goddesses, and I'm trying to piece together what's going on here. And, you know, I mean, maybe it's all a big coincidence. You know, I'm not sure. All I know is that there is no mistaking the linguistic accuracy of like these specific names that have been named and that are being used. So bottom line, guys, is who knows? Who knows what's going on? What do you think? Put it in the comments below. If you got something out of this video, please share it, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. And I want to thank you guys for watching this video. We'll see you next time. God bless you all.
Graphics. We're supposed to be going to the moon.
Let me get this straight. You think this is a real picture of Earth?
It's always a lady holding a jar of unpasteurized milk that's going to sit there and deny space travel. She can't wrap her head around space. Why could she? Do you know how hard it is to be an astronaut?
Earth, it was all the blackness around it. Earth was just this lifeboat hanging undisturbingly in the universe.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Where's the steam coming off the ship when they hit the water? Why would there be no steam at all when they're traveling 10 times faster than a bullet? Why would this rubber not start melting immediately? And there's guys that just go up and start touching it like it wouldn't be one of the hottest things in the world.
You lost the technology to get us to the moon. Where did it go?
They lost the tapes of the moon landing. What you watch when Neil Armstrong climbs off the LEM, One Small Step for Man, that was projected on a wall in NASA, and the networks were like, hey, can we just get the direct feed? Like, no, we're going to do it this way. Then they lost all those tapes, lost the telemetry. When asked, why don't we go back? NASA said, well, we can't replicate that technology. It's too difficult. NASA astronauts saying, oh, we think we found a way now that we can finally get past the Allen radiation belt. We already did that, man, didn't we? 17 times, but they lost it.
Unbelievable.
Russia was first to everything. Russia has Sputnik, first man-made satellite, man in orbit, first animal in orbit, first woman in orbit, first spacewalk. It's all first. And you can hear JFK saying, like, no matter how much money we throw at it, we're going to be second. And then suddenly, 1969, we surpass all of the Soviets and we land on the moon.
Did we?
I don't buy it. Americans who don't believe that we went to the moon is rising every year. I hope I have nothing to do with that.
I'm sure you have something to do with that.
There's so much weird stuff happening with NASA that I just can't keep up anymore. Did you guys hear about this? Now, even though this guy passed away back in 2023, he is now the 9th scientist tied to the same NASA story of a growing conspiracy of scientists that are either missing or dead. So the two on the bottom, I think, are the most recent, but Michael Hicks, he was involved with the DART missions, and that stands out to me. Because in August of 25, I posted a TikTok with a theory about how I think that Disclosure is actually announcing that there's an asteroid that's going to hit Earth. And then my profile got taken down permanently.
There are so many conspiracy theories floating around the internet right now about the Artemis 2. I made a previous video on it. We got to do this again. So much out there. We got to talk about it. I want to know your theories down below. And it's the delivery in which this was carried out is what everybody is questioning. And some of the stuff just, it's out there. Let's go.
And we just launched a rocket last week. I know it's the Artemis 2 mission, but I don't think it's actually real. I think we launched a rocket, yeah, but I don't think we sent astronauts in there. They came back on the zip line. And I don't think that rocket is coming back to Earth either. Because no one's going to witness that. No one's going to witness the rocket returning. Everyone just watched it taking off. So my theory anyway is that Artemis 2 is actually a DART mission. And there's a lot of reasons why that would make sense. First of all, you got this guy, Sean Duffy. You've probably seen him on TV because he was a Fox News anchor for a while. And before that, he was on MTV The Real World. But this guy was selected to be the acting administrator for NASA. I think it's rather interesting that it's always referred to his role as the acting administrator, almost as if he's the administrator of acting. They never call him the administrator for NASA. It's just acting administrator. What would you be the administrator of if not for acting with that title, right?
Also, wasn't one of the astronauts in like a show or a movie? The female one? Why is there so many actors involved here?
And that theory
Like
holds some
legit
weight when you hear him talk about central casting, because he did. He talked about it on Fox News, and Donald Trump selected him specifically for his look, for his central casting look.
2 of the 4 American astronauts that are on that flight, they're right out of central casting.
So we have someone flat out telling us that these astronauts are actors from central casting. So that actually makes sense then, that they're just faking it. They're trying to convince the public that they are on a mission to go around the moon for no freaking reason. And then we're watching all these AI videos of the backside of the moon as if that's really what we're seeing. And I'm sure they'll tell us that they returned to Earth and landed in the ocean somewhere and the dolphins were swimming around like last time, right? It's all a show. It's all reality television, which we know is scripted. And I could go on and on and on. Something about these astronauts doesn't add up. In fact, there's one particular detail of the pilot that really stands out to me. So this guy was an FA-18 pilot, but then he was on Senator McCain's administrative team for a while. Like he was in politics, I guess. And now he's the pilot for Artemis 2. Really? And this is the same Victor Glover that listens to Whitney on the Moon twice a week when he goes to work. You guys know what that poem's about? Whitney on the Moon is a spoken word poem that critiques American economic inequality during the Apollo moon missions. Drawing attention to systemic issues faced by Black Americans. So we've got a Black American pilot that's listening to a poem twice a week about systemic economic inequality for Black Americans, particularly spending money on moon missions, and then being the pilot of his own moon mission. None of this makes sense. This is all one big show. This is central casting. It's one bad movie, as Stephen Baldwin would call it. And we're about to see the grand finale. There's so much weird stuff happening with NASA.
Earth, it was all the blackness around it. Earth was just this lifeboat hanging undisturbingly in the universe.
Mm-mm. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So I may have not learned. I know I haven't learned.
So do you think that she forgot her lines, or did she just get nervous? I mean, I go blank sometimes when I talk on stage. Was she just nervous? But if you go and look at the old astronauts, when they started talking about stars, they acted like they didn't want to talk about it either. And this is proving my point of things don't make sense. The delivery. So when you run a pilot out there to talk about their experience, like, it was badass, man. We saw so much stuff. We were going like 5 times the speed of sound. My freaking hair was on fire. It was awesome. Instead, you get somebody that's like, I don't know what they looked like. I forgot my words. People start to question things.
Of the ship on, so they can show us the inside of the capsule for 10 days straight, except for when they're returning to Earth. Free falling at about 25,000 miles an hour, by the way. They don't ever show the inside of the ship on any of the return journeys for any mission. It's because whatever they show us wouldn't look believable.
Right.
And they're free falling at that speed for several minutes before reaching the water. But you realize at 25,000 miles an hour, you could travel from Massachusetts to California in about 6 minutes. And they were nothing even close to 3,000 miles away when they started filming them free fall. So no, could travel from the east coast of the US to China in 17 minutes at that speed. You think your body could handle that type of speed? Where's the steam coming off the ship when they hit the water? Why would there be no steam at all when they're traveling 10 times faster than a bullet? Why would this rubber not start melting immediately? And there's guys that just go up and start touching it like it wouldn't be one of the hottest things in the world.
Also talked about this being like riding a fireball.
You're just gonna go up and touch this 5-10 minutes later after it lands? Why are these videos so bad always? Like the worst quality ever. Well, it's just a low quality video. That doesn't mean it's fake. Your brain is low quality.
I mean, legit question. I never thought about being like, it would be hot, right? I watched one of my buddies he showed me the video of him in the G-Force machine and doing the funky chicken and passing out. Why don't we get those videos? Why can't I see the dudes like this coming in, you know? like it's a rollover drill, you know? Like I want to see that footage. Again, whoever the PR director is for NASA, you suck. Like terrible.
Let me get this straight. You think this is a real picture of Earth?
It's always a lady holding a jar of unpasteurized milk that's going to sit there and deny space travel. She can't wrap her head around space travel. Why could she? Do you know how hard it is to be an astronaut? It's so much easier to just drink raw milk and deny science. Dude, I get it. Ever since Artemis 2 launched, it's been an online anti-intellectualism jerk off. It's just been a circle jerk of people with their heads full of rocks being like, that can't happen. That's AI. Meanwhile, these are the same people, no offense. These are the same people who think that Noah's Ark actually happened. But then they sit there and they're like, we can't go to space. I don't understand how that will work. So that must mean it's not true. These are the same people that like use ChatGPT to ask for the time. That go to ChatGPT and are like, how do you spell banana, chat? Chat, how do you spell banana? Do you even know the mental, the physical, the academic requirements you need to be an astronaut? You need a master's degree in a STEM field to even go in space. But sure, let's trust the guy in his car who lost all of his money on NFTs 6 years ago. Let's trust the lady who drinks raw milk and probably thinks vaccines make your kids gay. Let's trust them over the fucking astronauts. All right, see ya.
Picture this, saving up to 10% when you bundle your home and auto insurance with USAA.
I mean, look, ad hominem attacks don't make you right, okay? We're just saying that the way they told us about this made no freaking sense. I mean, why couldn't they have just zoomed in from the space shuttle all the way down to the daggum probe, to the daggum Apollo rover down there, the rover down there, zoom all the way in and read the bumper number off of it, okay? Like, we can do it on Earth. Why couldn't they have done it? You know, they had a high definition lens on that bad boy, on that shuttle, okay? Do you remember the photos from the 50s and 60s from the spy planes that were taking pictures in Russia, okay? And they were showing these like high definition pictures of a doggone missile in Moscow, okay? Like down to the T. But you mean to tell me in 2026, as they're cruising by the doggone moon, they couldn't put a high definition video good enough to read this doggone Coke can? Like, this is why we doubt you, lady. Like, it's not pasteurized milk or the Noah's Ark. It's like common engineering that we have today where a satellite going around the Earth can read a bumper sticker, okay, on a car as it's traveling through space and it's going down the road. But you can't just brush by the Chinese stuff on the other side of the moon and be like, yep, they're there. And I can read his helmet. Okay, like it's the fact that live feeds click out. It's the fact that we catch you with CGI all the time. It's the fact that when we do catch you, channels get deleted, things get taken off the internet. It's the fact that like NASA has spent so much money and there's nothing really to show us for our money. Like that's why we doubt you, lady. Okay? It's not the fact that we know hashtag science. It's the fact that what you tell us when we actually run the math ourselves doesn't freaking work.
Like, what are those PlayStation 2 graphics? We're supposed to be going to the moon. I just watched it with my own eyes. It just goes up, and then it dips, and then you just see it falling right out the sky. Put a real camera on it. They think we're idiots. They think we're like the dumbest.
Yeah, they do.
Why does it keep cutting out? It's 2026. We got the best technology. It'll turn into a video game once it gets high enough. Holy shit. Leave it on the rocket! What are you doing? Let's go to Cocoa Beach. Let's go to the rocket, Stuart. Can't show the rocket. Know why? Because the rocket fucking exploded and it's falling down right now. We can get it on video. Saw it.
Anytime they cut to the media and there's some talking head at a desk wanting to talk about some stupid stuff while something big's going on, you know something's abrupt, okay? You know something is afoot. You know when the streaker hits the doggone baseball field and he's running across and they cut to a break, or listen to John up in the press box talking about some stat that nobody had 5 years ago. Something's afoot. That's why we don't trust anything. It's not that we don't think you didn't go. It's that all the shenanigans around the theatrics, we got you. We figured it out.
So NASA wants us to believe that they can take high-resolution videos and pictures from 240,000 miles away in outer space. But when the astronauts land in the ocean, it looks like it's recorded on a camcorder from 1998. That makes perfect sense, right? Like, they just continue to prove how fake this actually was. This is so fake. It's staged. It was filmed in a green screen. I mean, can you just look at this picture? I mean, did y'all actually watch these videos? If it was legit, with all the technology we have nowadays, how the hell is this the picture that we get and the video quality that we get of them landing in the ocean? You can't tell me they weren't prepared for this. You can't tell me they don't have any better cameras, better images, better this, better that. And I don't want to hear all the excuses from all of you that actually believe this is real. There are no more things that prove that this is real. It is completely fake. This proves that it was fake. There's no method of technology that is this bad at NASA. You're telling me they can go all the way across space, all the space that they have, but they can't get a better image of them landing back on Earth? Because that makes perfect damn sense, right? So now
it's either they're that bad or they want it to be that bad so you don't see what they're actually doing. You don't see the equipment they had, the things going on. Like, why isn't that every offload party, like every Navy guy that's helping them get off that ship didn't have a GoPro on them? Why didn't every member of the mission, the Apollo mission, have a body camera on? Every cop in the country has a body camera on. These guys don't have body cameras on? It was taught to me in the government that there are two ways to look at the government. Either one, they're that bad and they did accidentally leave that document on the copy machine and it got taken, shared by the people that probably shouldn't have it, or they did it on purpose. And a lot of times we say, oh, they did it on purpose, or they covered it up, or all this, or some dummy just went to get some coffee and left it on the coffee machine. And most of the time was the dummy left it on the copy machine. We all hope, we have faith that they're better than this. But I'm more leaning that they did go, they're covering it up by all the breaks in all the coverage. Military mission, they probably had 3 or 4 different missions it was supposed to do, and they lie to us to cover stuff up, and then we catch them in the lie, and then they double down on the lie, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. They should have just came out and told us, because here's what's going to happen. In 20 years, we're going to look at this footage, and the CGI is going to be so bad, we're going to be able to catch it on our 20K TVs, and they're going to run out there and lie to us, and then they're going to redact a bunch of documents and we'll never catch them, and they'll declassify it in 100 years. And even those will be redacted. Just like JFK, just like Epstein.
Someone needs to please explain this to me because I don't quite understand. If we can zoom in this close to the moon, if we can get this close to the moon from the Earth with the powerful cameras that we have, and we can just zoom right in on it, then Why won't NASA zoom in on Australia? That way we can see this, and the whole debate about whether the Earth is a globe or it's flat would be over, right? Why don't they do that? Why does it look like every single composite of the globe Earth looks like CGI, looks like Photoshop? Why does NASA admit that it's Photoshop, that it is composites, even though we're going to Mars and all this stuff and sending rovers? Make it make sense. If they wanted this debate to end and prove to everyone that the Earth is a globe, this is all they would have to do. It's so simple. They have the technology, clearly. So why don't we do it? Why don't we do it? Someone explain it. Why don't they do that? Why don't they zoom in on the Earth from their locations that they're taking pictures of the Earth from? Doesn't make sense. It's all a lie. The globe is a lie. You're all being fucking duped. Wake the fuck up. Peace and love.
I was thinking about one the other day. If the Hubble telescope is so badass, why don't they just spin it around and point it at the moon and be like, huh, there's the rover right there. There's the landing pad from the old missions. Oh, there's somebody up there that's not supposed to be there. You know, like, why couldn't they have just taken one of those big ass lenses, shown the shuttle going by, waving at us out the window? Like, if we're going to spend $1 trillion on this stuff, I expect you to be able to do that. Just like when the Blue Angel comes by my house and I can see him in the cockpit go like this. Why couldn't I see the doggone astronaut going by going from the Hubble telescope or the National Space Station, where you don't even have to shoot it through the doggone atmosphere? You know, they're already up there. And if they're not doing stuff like that, like legit lenses on the International Space Station, and they're doing like legit stuff, then I want my money back. What do you think? Comments down below. I mean, like, go watch the footage of this one right here, where the astronauts are so depressed, and when they're talking about the stars, they want nothing to do with it anymore. They're like, I am so over this. Either from people saying, I don't believe you went, or they're covering something up and they don't want to lie about it.
But in today's video is showing you guys what the sun looks like up close with an ND5 foil solar filter, which allows us to be able to see through the brightness of the sunlight to actually see the shape of the sun, its texture, what it looks like. And I'm going to show you 3 different views from 3 different days, and you're going to see that the sun always looks the same, always has these same little spots on it, which I'll get to here in a second. Let's get zoomed in.
Why couldn't NASA have done this to the moon or to the Earth?
There we go. Now you see these little black, look like little black dots on the sun. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know exactly what they are, but I know every time that I zoom in on it, they are always there. Now, they are not always in the same spot, but they always look the same. Every time I zoom in on this sun, these little black spots are always there. Every time on different days, no matter which day that you zoom in on it with the solar filter. And the cool thing about the solar filter is most of the time you can use your P1000 or your P900, and you'll never be able to see what I just showed you without the solar filter, because the sun is too bright. And this filter, it just filters out that brightness, so you can actually, like I told you earlier, see the texture of the sun itself. Now, I'm not for sure if you can actually buy this filter for the Nikon P900. I just know that they have it for the P1000. So if you have a P900, you might want to kind of research that, maybe look it up and see if they have one. I'm sure they probably do, but I know they have one for the P1000, and it does a fabulous job, as you can see right here. Now you're getting ready to see those little black holes, those little black dots again, just as I showed you on the first day. They're always there, which tells me that this is not a big ball of fire like they tell us that it is. That's a bunch of bull crap. You don't see a big ball of fire anywhere on this. It just looks like a big light bulb with some bugs stuck to it. Not to mention the fact that I shouldn't be able to zoom in on this at all with a camera. It's supposedly 93 billion miles away. Think about that, 93 billion miles away. Trust me, there is no camera in the world that could see 93 million miles away. But anyways, a little shaky there. Sorry about that, guys.
I mean, that is interesting. It's so far away. You would think that the optical bounce of the camera and it moving, it would be hard to zoom in on, or that you could even capture it all together. Like, it's wild. I mean, this is what I want NASA to do, to prove some stuff to us. Just zoom in, bro.
Okay, now this is a total different day here. There was some humidity on this day, so I didn't actually get the orange look or the yellow look. It actually had a white look to it. But you can see those black dots or little black holes are there on day 3 also. Well, you see the atmospheric reaction kind of blurring there over them, but they're definitely there. I don't know what that is, but it's something. Now here you have NASA's computer-generated images. Now look what they show you. They show you this big old ball of fire with looks like lava and fire shooting out of it, which is all cartoon images, CGI. People, it looks nothing like what I just showed you in real time with a real camera with a real solar filter. It looks nothing like this NASA cartoon bullcrap. Yeah, you see that? You don't see nothing on that one. When I zoom in on it, just looks like a big light with some little specks on it, little holes on it. Looks nothing like this cartoon crap. I'm telling you, people, the book of Enoch tells us that it's a luminary, not a ball of fire, as you can see here. And that which thus rises.
I mean, that's wild. I want to know more about this. I'm not saying I agree or I don't agree. I actually really think that we went. I really think they went around the moon, they came back. I just hate the fact, the delivery, the news coverage, the media spin, how bad the pilots were in their interviews. And I get they're astronauts and pilots, they're not like actors, but it's the fact that they were actors and that all this stuff doesn't add up. And the whole, like, so much of what they did in front of the camera was like orchestrated. It just looks fake. The graphics, the media, everything. It's like, I don't get much from my money. I don't get any good pictures. Nothing is, the video should have been in 20K. Okay, you know they have those lenses. If they can take those humongous photos of the galaxy and the universe, but yet you give me some crummy picture of the moon, that's where I start to break contact from you. You know, I understand the science. I hate the coverage.
This is Jeremy's dinner, and in space, you really just eat all of your food out of bags of some kind, plastic bags or little metallic bags, because we have to rehydrate a lot of our food. This is actually shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, so watch the tail the bag leaves on Jeremy's face. So that's this guy right here. This bag is just floating in the air, and if you don't know with this footage that they send out, all these things that are floating is actually CGI, is completely computer animated, and that's why there's so many inconsistencies with it. And if you look at the edges of it,
and
you'll
this
see
has been rehydrated already.
it makes,
so we
it
added water
distorts.
to it, and the shrimp soaked back up the water, and it's
If it's an
actually
MRE,
pretty
it ain't
tasty.
tasty.
They are not eating anything. Right here. So
no way.
You see, look right here. It'll kind of distort because it's computer animation.
Ooh.
And it can't animate that closely with two different objects moving side by side on different layers.
This is an example of a food that has not been rehydrated yet. It got all dried out for...
So they put this red dot on there because that is, if you know anything about video editing, You want to put a bright red area on something for motion tracking to keep track of where your animation
flying
is
up here in
going.
space, and those are green beans.
And it
So-
disappears sometimes too. Yeah, so if you know anything about animation, you'll know that this is why they have these dots on things, because you need it to track with the program so that you know where it is.
It's really hard to tell what is real and what's not anymore. And you do your best, like this. We don't know if the video's been altered. We don't know if it's been edited again. But if this is true, in 10 years, we'll be able to see it just blaringly in our face. And I'm actually surprised that we don't see it in the old footage, okay? And that's what goes in my next clip, is one, all the documents, the math, everything from the old missions, lost. You know, the old landing footage, lost. It's crazy. This is why people don't believe stuff. I don't think it's the math or it's the delivery and the way the information is put out to us is awful.
You lost the technology to get us to the moon. Where did it go?
They lost the tapes of the moon landing. What you watch when Neil Armstrong climbs off the LEM, one small step for man, that was projected on a wall in NASA. And the networks were like, hey, can we just get the direct feed? Like, no, we're going to do it this way. Then they lost all those tapes, lost the telemetry. When asked, why don't we go back? NASA said, well, we can't replicate that technology. It's too difficult. NASA astronauts saying, oh, we think we found a way now that we can finally get past the Allen radiation belt. We already did that, man, didn't we? 17 times, but they lost it.
Unbelievable.
Russia was first to everything. Russia has Sputnik, first man-made satellite, man in orbit, first animal in orbit, first woman in orbit, first spacewalk. It's all first. And you can hear JFK saying, like, no matter how much money we throw at it, we're going to be second. And then suddenly, 1969, we surpass all of the Soviets and we land on the moon.
Did we?
I don't buy it. Americans who don't believe that we went to the moon, it's rising every year. I hope I have nothing to do with that.
I'm sure you have something to do with that.
I mean, it's just a fact of those things happening. That NASA and their good idea fairy, PAOs, get out there and say, sorry, guys, we lost it. We did. It's not that we redacted it. We lost it. The most important footage that ever really happened in the world, we ain't got it anymore. We accidentally taped over it. Oh, and all the diagrams. No, the Russians didn't get them. We lost it. Spend billions of dollars creating the schematics and everything for the Apollo shuttle, everything for creating the footage and everything for the rover, landing equipment. Lost it. That is why people have their questions.
Go figure. Follow me.